The long anticipated Microdrone 3.0 finally ships, and we find out if it's actually any good. To get your hands on one of these microdrones is through the Extreme Flyers starter campaign on Indiegogo, but there is one caveat to that. If you were to order a microdrone for yourself today, you won't actually receive one until July, and we actually ordered ours in July last year and it only turned up a few weeks ago, so you do have to be prepared to wait if you want to get your hands on one of these. Now, in addition to the microdrone, you can also order a whole host of accessories also from the Indiegogo starter campaign, such as extra batteries, a gimbal, which apparently is the smallest gimbal ever made, as well as some other things such as a camera, obviously to go with the gimbal. But again, as I said, you'll probably have to wait until around July to actually receive your model of the Microdrone 3.0. So as you can see on screen now, one of the key features of this microdrone, which makes it really unique and also saves a lot of weight, improving the flight performance, is the way that everything attaches to it. Now, the battery just slides in on the bottom like you may expect. However, you'll notice that there are 3 magnetic contacts on the bottom of the battery. Now, this is where accessories such as the camera and gimbal actually connect to through magnets. And that is really cool because you don't have to deal with any finicky wires or connectors. Everything just slaps on right there like a magnet, and it's really easy. So moving on to the camera, it's an HD camera. However, you'll notice that the footage is quite shaky, obviously as expected from a drone. So that's why we would recommend purchasing the gimbal, but that hasn't actually shown up yet, so we can't provide a review on that as of now, but we will provide that in the future. One of the cool features about the camera is that it creates its own Wi-Fi network which you can connect to using your smartphone. Now, what this allows you to do is actually view a live HD video feed from the camera, effectively giving you an FPV setup for the drone. Now, this, in conjunction with Extreme Fly's version of the Google Cardboard, which is included in the package, also shown on screen now, means that you can slot in your smartphone to the Google Cardboard VR headset and have a fully immersive experience with full FPV HD video streaming straight to your smartphone, which is a really cool feature and not found on many other drones this size. Now, this is the kind of feature that we have in the big drones like the Phantom and the Inspire 1. So it's really cool to have this kind of feature in such a small and low priced drone. Now, moving on to the price in more detail, if you were to order one of these drones yourself today from Indiegogo, it would cost you around $200. And included in that package, you'll get the drone itself, a battery, the transmitter, and the Google Cardboard accessory. So basically everything you need to get flying. However, if you wanted to utilize some of the more cooler features of this drone, such as the camera, that will cost you around about an extra $30. And the gimbal, I believe at the moment, is around $50, although that's not actually available at the moment. So, as I said, really, to get yourself up and going with a camera and a gimbal, that's going to cost you pretty close to $300. I mean, that is pretty steep price tag for this size of drone. But is it really worth it? Okay, so moving on to the included app. So this really has a whole host of features and some really cool ones too. First of all, before you even get this thing in the air, there is a whole host of tutorial videos, really comprehensive videos, telling you how to get this thing out of the box and into the air in no time at all. So that's really helpful considering you don't have to go through a boring manual. All of those videos are provided for you in the app. Another feature of the app is the gallery. Now, this stores all of your HD videos and photos taken with the drone's camera, which is sent via Wi-Fi straight to your phone so you can view and share them there. So that's a really nice feature. No need to pull the SD card out and put them in your laptop and pull them out and put them on your phone. Straight away over Wi-Fi onto your phone, and you can share them, do what you want with them. Now, the final feature of the app, and possibly the coolest feature, is the Fly module. Now, first of all, this allows you to actually control the drone. as in you don't actually need the transmitter. You can control the drone completely from your phone using the 2 on-screen joysticks and various other controls, which you can see on screen now. Another cool feature is that you can actually adjust and fine-tune all of your trim settings for the drone, so you can really fine-tune this thing to get it flying how you want it, and that's all done via the graphical interface on the app, so that's also a really cool feature. Now finally, as mentioned before, you can actually stream over Wi-Fi the video feed from the camera. So you have the full screen mode where you can slot it into your Google Cardboard and become fully immersed in the video feed from the camera via the FPV setup. Or you can have the overlay of the controls, so you can actually control the drone and see a slightly opaque version of the video feed in the background, so you can kind of see both things at the same time, which is again a really cool feature and really begins to build up kind of the features which you would expect from a drone of this kind of price. It does kind of offer some things which other drones don't offer, but we'll see if that really stacks up to the price tag of around $200 at the end of this video. Now in terms of the power for this drone, included is one battery. However, I would recommend purchasing a few more just so that when it runs out of juice, you're not sitting there waiting for the batteries to charge, wishing you could get it back in the air. Now to fully charge one of these batteries, it takes around 25 minutes, so not too bad. However, it is a really small battery, and flight time's around 10 to 15 minutes, so a very competitive standard for this size drone. So 10 to 15 minutes I'd say is more than enough time to have enough fun, and if you did want to fly for more, I would recommend obviously getting extra batteries anyway. Moving on to flight performance, this is probably one of the most important features or aspects of a drone when you're deciding whether you should buy it. Now, it can actually handle mild winds outdoors. As you can see on screen, we had around 5 mile an hour winds, so obviously they have to be small winds, but this thing can actually handle them. Now, this combined with the 3 modes, which can easily be toggled on the transmitter or through the app, we have a slow, fast and an insane mode. Now, the slow mode is probably what you want to use for quite a long time when you're trying to get to know the drone, get to grips with the controls. Now, this is by no means slow, don't get me wrong, but it kind of dampens the controls a bit and gives you a bit more confidence when controlling the drone. As you move through the modes to the fast and insane mode, obviously this thing really turns into a whole nother animal. Now, I'm telling you, in insane mode, this thing is hard to control. We're showing you on screen now the difference between the 3 modes, and you can see in the insane mode how much greater the angle is at which the drone actually tilts when moving in a given direction. So obviously that affects the flight dynamics. It makes it very, very agile and very, very fast, but also very, very hard to control. So a really cool feature if you can handle it, but as I said, most users will probably keep this thing in either slow or fast mode. Now, in addition to the normal flight modes, we have some pretty abstract ones too. Now, one of the first ones is stunt mode. Now, this enables you to do flips and all sorts of stunts with this drone. Now, that is really cool. However, one thing I did notice, which was quite annoying, is that as you can see, the actual switch for the stunt mode is located below the throttle stick on the transmitter. This means that you have to take your finger off the throttle, possibly causing you to crash, and that is not generally a good thing. So, although this is a really cool feature, you have to flick the switch, do your stunt, and then flick it back. And in the meantime, you could have actually lost control of the drone, as you have to take your hand off of the throttle stick. So that's a slightly annoying caveat to that feature. However, the actual feature itself is really cool. Now, another more abstract feature is the inverted flying mode. Now, in order to do this, you do have to actually swap out the blades for some included separate blades which are designed specifically for inverted flying. However, this really is a fantastically implemented feature. All you do is flip a switch at the top right of the transmitter. The drone takes care of everything itself, moves up around a centimeter, flips itself, and the drone flies exactly as it would in its uninverted position, I guess you could call it. And literally you don't notice any difference in terms of the flight dynamics. It's easy to fly, and it's just another really cool party trick that this thing has locked under the hood. Whilst you're on the subject of party tricks, this drone actually has return to home and smart orientation. And you may be thinking, but this thing doesn't have GPS. And although this is a feature found in much higher end drones such as the Phantom and the Inspire 1 as we mentioned earlier, this thing actually has returned to home. However, one caveat to that is that you have to be connected via the app to the drone in order for that to work, because it actually uses the GPS location of the phone and then communicates that over Wi-Fi to the drone and basically returns to the location of the phone. Now, although that is a caveat, that is still a really cool implementation, as they've managed to include a feature that would otherwise rely on GPS, which would not actually be possible in implementing a drone such as this because of weight issues. Now, you may be aware of IOC, Intelligent Orientation Control, on some of the DJI flight controllers like the NASA and the A2. Now, what this essentially means is that the drone from its takeoff position actually records the direction in which it was pointing at takeoff and remembers this position, and so no matter which way the drone actually spins around, if you push forward on the transmitter, the drone will go forward. So even if this thing is facing backwards or to the side, if you push forward on the transmitter, the drone will go forward relative to the position in which it took off from. Now, this is a really helpful feature for professional filming, as really concentrate on what the camera's actually seeing and getting your shot. Now, this means you don't have to actually pay attention to actually orientating the drone, as it'll take care of that for you. All you need to know is that forward is forward, back is back, left is left, and right is right. Really simple and basic, really makes this thing easy to fly. Finally, in terms of what I noticed in my experience with this drone is not a good one, and you're probably waiting for one drawback to this drone. Now, when we received the drone, we actually opened it up to check the electronics inside, and one of the, I guess, ESC wires, if you're coming from more high-end drones, basically the wire coming from the motor through the arm and into the main control board, one of the wires was actually exposed. Now, this is not a good thing, as it could actually cause the drone to short circuit, and even worse, short circuit in the air, possibly leading to the death of your drone. And you don't want that after you spent $200 on this thing. However, we contacted Extreme Flyers, and within a few days we got a reply, and they shipped us out a new wire, actually a whole new arm unit with the motor and the arm and wire. We simply unscrewed a few screws, put it in, and everything was good to go. So although it should not have happened in the first place, and that could possibly say something about the quality control in the factories for Extreme Flyers, despite that, customer service was excellent, and I would have no hesitation in recommending Extreme Flyers on the basis of their great customer service. Now, in terms of durability of the drone, this thing can handle a good knock. Now, it comes included in the box with some motor guards, which are basically a plastic ring which goes all the way around the drone and protects the propellers from actually getting caught on anything, which is good more so for protecting the other stuff around the house, instead of the drone, as obviously this can cause some quite serious damage when you have plastic props spinning around at that kind of RPM. Now, in addition to this thing, as I said, can take a few knocks. This thing has encountered endless crashes in my testing, crashing into walls, into the ceiling, flipping over onto the floor, and this thing still lives to tell the tale. So I would definitely say this thing is strong and durable, and it should pretty much withstand any kind of crash you can throw at it. And that's excellent considering the kind of target market for this drone. Obviously, it's just hobbyists and they're not professionals, and you are probably going to crash this thing. It's kind of inevitable. So that's definitely a good attribute to this drone. Now, I feel I have covered everything on this drone. Again, we will be providing an extra segment when we get our hands on the gimbal, as I think that really deserves its own video, as from what Extreme Flyers have been claiming about that gimbal unit, it really seems like a fantastic unit considering the size and the price. Now, talking about price, is this actual drone worth the $200 price tag? And also considering you actually have to wait till July to receive this thing. So I've talked about the benefits and the advantages of this drone, and they are endless. I mean, this thing really packs some next level features. It has the free flight modes, which is excellent. It can handle outdoor flying. It It has the FPV implementation, which is absolutely fantastic. In addition to those few add-on features like the return to home and the intelligent orientation control. Now this combined with the fact that you can actually add a gimbal unit in the future, and the way they designed the magnetic system underneath means that they can really add modular accessories in the future, which is a really cool feature because they can pretty much design anything. You can slap it right on the drone and you're ready to go. So as I said, that is, in my opinion, a really cool design feature on the drone side. So is this thing worth it though? It's $200, and as you can see, we actually have an unboxing link below of a Nova CX-20 drone. Now this is a full size around 400mm drone arm span, and this thing can hold a GoPro and a 3-axis gimbal. I mean, this is pretty much a budget version of the Phantom, and considering that was only around $250, it's hard to say this is good value for money, but it really depends on what you want to use it for. If this is solely for a bit of fun indoors, then obviously a bigger drone like that can't handle indoor flying, it's simply too big. But then we have the question of the Sigma X5C, which is only around £25, £30 on Amazon right now. Now, you could buy a few of those Sigmas, crash them, do whatever you want to them, and still have money left in the bank. But they don't have these extra features like the Wi-Fi streaming and things. So it's really a tough call whether this thing is good value for money or not. It's hard to say it is, but it's also hard to say it isn't. As I said, if you were to consider it as good value for money, you would be considering all the extra features which no other drone like this on the market has. But the disadvantages are obviously there are other drones which can do similar or slightly different things for a much better cost. Like I said, the Sigma is also a small drone, and that is a flawless drone as well. I mean, it's not as high quality, doesn't go as fast, doesn't have FPV set up, but it's £30. And if the purpose of this drone was for practicing in order to move up to something bigger like the Phantom, then that would probably do its job just fine. Now, if you did want to get into more professional, more serious aerial filming outside, handling bigger winds, and then a Nova CX-20 would be a far better option than this. But it's what you want to use it for and whether you can justify the cost. I can guarantee if you buy this thing, you won't be disappointed, but you might have a small inkling in the back of your mind that maybe you should have got something bigger or something cheaper. So it's really your call on whether this thing is worth the money. So overall, I think we're going to give this thing around an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10, that high score is down to the key feature set of this drone and basically the way it works. It's easy to fly, great customer service from Extreme Flies, really a great drone. Now, the reason it didn't get 10 out of 10 is the price tag. That's really what's holding it back. $200 is a steep price tag and you won't receive it until July. Now, that's a bit of a bummer considering you're going to pay all that money and you won't even get it for a few months. But anyway, I hope we have provided as a comprehensive review as you had hoped. I've pretty much listed all of the features, drawbacks and advantages that I can think of during my time using this drone. And really, I think it's down to you to decide whether this is for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe down below, comment and like it, as it really helps us to keep on bringing you more content such as this in the future. And we'll see you in next week's video where we're going to take a look at some more new cool tech available on the market today.